Hey guys, I've just finished work for the day and I've been wanting to make this video all day. Last night I finished my very first Plague Marine and I think it looks so cool. I cannot wait to show you. Before we jump into that, I just want to show off a couple of little things that I bought. I did go back to the hobby store again to pick up a couple more paints. I got a Lauren Forest for a bit of a highlight green. I also got a Tyran blue shade and a Baharaf blue layer paint. Now these, I decided to go with, I put together the Plague Marine champion and he had like this laser gun, and so these colors were for the coil, which was so hard to paint, by the way. And then the last thing I got, actually not the last thing, I did get this technical Valhallan Blizzard snow, which I tried, and it's really cool. It turned out really cool, so I'll talk a bit about that as well when I show off the model. Then the last thing I got was this little brush. I was hoping to get a highlight brush, but looking at this now I can see that this is a base brush. It was the smallest one they had. Maybe I should I'll look a little closer next time and try to get a smaller brush just for some of those details. They were really hard to pick out, you know, compared to the Space Marine that I painted a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so those of you who watched my last video, you will know that I picked up this Plague Marine set over the past weekend, and I have to say, this is the first time that I've had to deal with this kind of thing. All of the Warhammer models that I've owned in the past, they were the ones where you just, it was like 5 pieces per model and you just stick them into each other. So the champion that I built, he was probably like 20 pieces at least, I think. And it took me a while to kind of get my head around this and the instructions. It's quite complicated for a beginner, right? Yeah, so it took me, I think, over an hour, probably about an hour 15 to just put the model together, which is why I've only done one so far. I've got 6 more to go, so this is going to be quite a big project for me. But anyways, enough talking about that. Let's jump into the model. Okay, here he is. I tried my best to set up my camera so that this looks clear. We're heading into winter here in New Zealand, so it's really like, it's dark and gloomy every day. My office isn't very well lit up. I need to get a desk lamp, but hopefully you guys can see this all right. Actually, if I put my hand behind there, it kind of works better. Anyways, here he is. Here is my Plague Marine champion, and I love how he looks. He looks so cool, I think. If you guys watched my last video, you would have seen the mood board that I made, which I kind of explained the color scheme that I was going for, and I think for the most part I managed to achieve that. You can see I've gone for slightly darker greens than what you'd usually see on a typical Death Guard. I spin this around a little bit. You can see instead of like the copper kind of armor bits, I've gone for more of a colder, darker steel, weathered silvery look. I'll spin this guy around. Now, there were a few areas that I really struggled with on this model. The first one was the coil, and I'll put pictures on here so it's easier to see too. But the coil on this gun here, that was so hard to paint. I had no clue what I was doing, and it looks like a hot mess. It doesn't look like a coil, you know, but I'm kind of happy with it. It's all right, you know, for a first try. I'm okay with it. The second thing I struggled with a lot was these little faces on his knee there and on his backpack. You can see I didn't do too well with them. I used the same color scheme that I used for the horns, and I think the horns look so good. I love it a lot. The paint is a little bit thick on the tips here. I'll yeah, do that better next time. But yeah, the faces, that was hard. Might have to look up a tutorial or something on that. But yeah, in terms of the horns, so I used those 3 colors, the brown, the cream, and like the white, and they might be, you know, maybe one of my favorite parts of this model, this mini. I think it looks so cool. Now I also used the same colors for the teeth on his armor here, and I think it came out awesome, you know, because I was a little bit concerned and I wasn't sure what to do there. I was thinking about doing like red around the mouth, but I'm so glad I kept that same color scheme and went with brown. I think it just ties it all together with all the kind of like earthy tones that I've gone for here. Now you might not be able to see it on here. Oh, you kind of can. On his lens, I did that blue that came with the starter set, and then I did a turquoise in the corner and a little white on there as well to try and make it look like a lens. It kind of looks like one, it kind of doesn't. I'm okay with it. I also decided to go for blue for the eyes on the faces and blue tongues. What do you guys reckon? I think it looks okay. Now, I was talking about how difficult I found putting this model together, and you may have noticed already, but I kind of messed up the cape. There is a bit of a gap between the two pieces here, and that's because you had to put the arm on, and then you had to glue this side of the cape to this shoulder pad here, put that on, and then you had to do the other arm, and then you had to put the cape on this shoulder pad, and you had to kind of hope that the two capes were in line with each other, and unfortunately for me they were not, but it's okay. I've kind of hidden it with the shading that I've done here. I experiment a little bit with highlighting and shading on this model. You can't really tell just because like you can kind of see it. It's very subtle. On his cloak, like I painted this all grey, and then I went in with black in some of the darker areas, and then I just dry brushed it to kind of make it feel like it's winter, you know? It's cold. He's got frost on his cape, or a little bit of snow. And talking about the snow, I love the snow. It's so cool. It's an interesting texture out of the puddle. You kind of I had to do a couple of layers here. And so for the base, I actually painted the base a similar color to his armor, so it's like a dark green. My thoughts behind that were that, you know, underneath the snow is like a layer of grass, and I think next time I go to the store, I'm going to look for maybe some dark green grass tufts or little plants that I can attach to these two. I think that'll look awesome. Yeah, but I think that is more or less it. These chains, I kind of just did them a metal color, and then I think I dry brushed them with some highlights as well. Same with his claw. Actually, I haven't really talked about his claw much. Initially it was all green, but I ended up making his fingers like a metal color too, and really like how that turned out. But yeah, so this is my my first Plague Marine champion. Quite excited to put together and do the rest of them. I think what I'm going to do next is put all 6 of them together, and then from there maybe paint them in batches of either 2 or 3 each. I'm not sure yet. I'll see how I go for time. Unfortunately, I am going away for work from tomorrow, so I won't be back until the weekend, so I won't be able to do any painting this week. But I did hear that there is a Space Marine game coming out on Switch, and maybe tomorrow or the next day, so I might check that out while I'm away. And because I'm really interested in the 40k lore, I don't really know anything about it. I remember when I was at the store and I was talking to the guy, and I was like I was saying to him, I'd really like to get into lore, like where's a good place to start? And he just started laughing, because like he was like, that is such a deep dark hole that you're getting yourself into, and it's a hard question to answer, so I'll start with a video game. But yeah, so just want to also say thank you to everyone who has been giving me advice on the Death Guard in general. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I think I am looking to build a 500 point army first, and it's really cool to see that there are so many different options that Death Guard have in that scene, and Sounds like I might be going for a bit of a small and elite force first. I'm going to finish with these Plague Marines, and then sounds like I do need to get an HQ or leader. And depending on what type of games I want to play, for I think it was boarding patrol, you can only have infantry units. So I might get some Terminators. For standard games, I kind of want a tank, and I can't remember what the Death Guard tank is called, but there's one that's got like a mortar on it. That looks really cool. There's also those drones which look really interesting. So there's so many models that I want to collect now, and yeah, we'll see how the journey goes, but I'll take it one step at a time. First thing being finishing off the rest of the Plague Marines. So if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you have been following my journey, I hope you're enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with all of this, and I hope you are too. Enjoy the rest of your day and week, and I hope to see you again in the future. See you guys.